Brett, guarantee and third-party guarantee has become something very huge, I think, in the art market, like a parallel market for the value of art. What do you think?
I don't think this is new. I think at the end of the day, if you go back to, even in the beginning of the 80s, guarantees and third-party guarantees were part of what, was the makeup of an auction. What we see now is that the risk is actually much greater in terms of the sellers want very high numbers, and in order to get the material for auction, they have to often give a guarantee. The auction house has to guarantee, and they support that by finding a third party. And the perfect situation for them is to find a third party who really wants the painting, who ultimately is there to actually continue to bid and to buy the painting. And for a third party backer, the reason why they do it is because they also want the painting. And if they don't get the painting, they're compensated really for their participation, for their bidding. If they buy the painting, they don't actually get a fee for doing it. So it's a very interesting mechanism, but it is something which is the underpinning of today's market. If we look at ultimately the top lots across the board, the majority of them are coming in with guarantees, and they're house guarantees in the initial stages, but they're quickly sold off to quite a large number of people who want to be third-party guarantors, because if they get it right, it can be very lucrative.
But it's kind of parallel market.
Well, what the press have often focused on is that it's like doing a private sale in public, that someone is ultimately underpinning. But in this market, when you're talking about paintings in the $50 to $70 million plus range, it's always been quite thin up there. And if you're someone who's willing to come at the very beginning and say, I'm willing to buy this, I'm willing to give you the protection, the third-party backer protection on a work of art, at the end of the day, it's no different to them whether they're giving that assurance before the bidding begins, or they do it during the auction itself.
But just less transparence.
Well, it's not really, because at the end of the day, the transparency is there. There's an indication in the catalogue.
But not of the amount.
Not of the amount, but you can kind of work it out. You can work it around the estimate. But mostly the guarantee is going to be somewhere within the estimate range.
But it can be higher than the estimate.
Very rarely.
But it can be.
It can be, but it doesn't affect the way that you would buy, because the guarantee might be higher, but actually the reserve can't be higher than the low estimate. So you know that ultimately, whatever happens, you are bidding against the reserve. You're not necessarily bidding against what that third party might do. That third party will continue to bid in the same way that that person might be willing to bid in a normal auction. They're just being compensated for taking on the risk away from the auction houses. And what's most interesting at this time is it goes in trends. Sometimes the auction houses want to do the guarantees themselves. In this market, we just saw now Sotheby's announcing that they made two big losses on guarantees. They're much more willing, much more desiring at this moment, across the board, all the auction houses, to offlay their risk, because the risks are high. You get one deal wrong, you could lose all the profit on the whole of the sale.
Merci.